All right, good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. How's everybody doing this morning? That didn't sound. How's everybody doing this morning? Great, great, great. All right, so we are going to continue with our study of walking the walk. We got into a real lively discussion last week as we were finishing up our conversation about walking in faith. And we began to talk about how we, what we do about what we believe and how we share the story. And so we had some real good conversation. Sister Anya had a great week in talking to someone about Christ and then bringing them with her to service on Sunday. And so that's always the goal for us, right? We talked about last week the 2 exposures a day in a weekly meeting, right? And when you come to the weekly meeting, don't come by yourself, right? And this is that weekly meeting. And so as we continue to talk about walking the walk, every walk that is described in the Bible always includes telling the story. It's just how there's no way to walk the walk without doing that. So we finished up on walking the walk in faith. Anyone have any comments about that before we move on to our next step in our walk, which will be walking in obedience? All right. Anybody have anything they need to get off their chest? Okay. Everyone's chest is good. All right. So let's move on to our second step in our walking the walk, which is walking in obedience. And so again, this whole Christian walk we have, right? There are some things that we have to do, right? This isn't a spectator sport, right? So that notion that we have sometimes where, hey, all you got to do is you come here on Sunday and you listen to whoever's talking, and you come back on Wednesday and you listen to whoever's talking, and then you're good. I got bad news for you if that's how you think this works. It's not. Because our walk doesn't happen on Sunday morning and Wednesday nights. Our walk is all that other stuff, right? Our walk is as soon as you leave here, you begin your walk, right? You're 15 seconds out of worship, and that person cuts you off as you try to get on the 595. 15 seconds out of worship, and you cussing already, right? That's the walk, right? First thing Monday morning, you ain't been at the office for 5 seconds, and someone is already spreading some rumor about something that you did or you didn't do. That's when the walk happens, right? And so the reason we come on Sunday mornings and Wednesday night is to help us get through all the rest of those times when we're not here. I mean, if you think about it, a week's got, 168 hours? Right? If this group that stays for Sunday school, maybe you got here at 8:45, you'll be gone at 11:15. That's 2.5 hours. You get here on, if you also come Wednesday, you'll be here an hour. That's 3.5 hours out of a 168-hour week. The walk's out there, right? And so that is where we have to work on doing the things that God has told us to do. And so let's get some scripture reference for walking in obedience. Let's start in the Old Testament. I'm gonna read. Let's turn over to Deuteronomy. Chapter 10, and we're going to read verses 12 and 13. So Deuteronomy 10, verses 12 and 13, and this is what the Word of God says. And now, Israel, what does the Lord your God require of you? But to fear the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, to serve the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, and to keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes, which I command you today for your good. That's the whole thing. That's it. Right? So the word says to Israel, what does the Lord your God require of you? Fear the Lord. Walk in all his ways. Love him. Serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, and keep his commandments. Keep his commandments is in there. Right? And so walk in all his ways it's part of what we're supposed to be doing. Okay? And so we'll get into that and what that looks like in just a second. Someone get for me James chapter 1, and we'll read verses 21 through 27. James 1, verses 21 through 27.
Don't just listen to God's word. Otherwise, you're only fooling yourself. For if you listen to the word and don't obey, it is like glancing at your face in a mirror. Walk away and forget what you know. Look carefully into the perfect law that sets you free, and if you do what it says and don't forget what you heard, God will bless you for doing it. Claim to be religious, but don't control your tongue. You're fooling yourself. Pure and genuine religion inside of God the Father.
I'm sorry. Can you tell us who you are that just read that? That is my baby girl. That's Ebony. All right. And so James says, don't just read the word. Right. Some of us are quasi-biblical scholars. Like I could say, hey, where do you find? That's in James. Hey, God said, and blah, 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 and you can complete the sentence. And that's great. But what are you doing? Right? What are you doing? Right? How do you show that you are a doer of the word? Right? What do we think that means? Now it's your turn. Right? What does that mean? Be you not hearers only, but doers. What does that look like? James, what is doing the word? What is that? Action.
And it has to come from the heart. Someone's telling you to do it.
Right.
I've learned that as the older you become a Christian, maybe in the beginning when you're a young Christian, but it starts getting old, and that's why people give up, because the love isn't there. You only can do obedience so long. It has to be love and obedience.
Right, because you've got to want to do it. Right? You don't take it as being burdensome, right? There's two ways to look at it. You could wake up in the morning and say, "Oh, my gosh, I have got to be a doer of the word today." Or you could wake up in the morning and say, "Oh my God, I get to be a doer of the word today." It's just. Same thing. You just decide what that looks like for you.
That's maturity.
That is, and it's and ultimately it's faith. It's love. It is obedience. It's wanting to do the thing, right? Christ can't walk the earth anymore. He did it already. It's our turn, right? If we don't do it, it won't get done, right? Someone else who, I'm sorry, what's your name? Yes, we got to get back to saying our names. And I'm Terry Brown. I didn't start off with that. Did I hear someone else had a comment?
Well, I was going to say the same thing.
Okay. And what was your name when you were going to say the same thing that he did? Jason. That's right. All right.
Say something different.
Yeah, you can. Go ahead. Please do. Yeah.
Personalizing things, make a difference. I don't watch movies so much anymore, but it used to be a favorite movie of mine, Saving Private Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene where he's at Private Ryan's grave, he was so thankful to the soldier who saved his life during the war.
That's right.
And he's reflecting on that. He wanted to live a life that honored that sacrifice. And, so it's personal to him.
Right.
And we have to personalize that as well.
Right.
It's a real thing.
And the beauty of it is if we think about it, right, the beauty of Christ's sacrifice is that it is personal to each and every one of us, right? He saved me from something different than he saved you from, something different than he saved Tom from, something different that he saved James from. And it really should be personal because each of us appreciates where we were and how it is that the notion that I have got access and am in a good place with God in spite of who I am, I mean, that should get you up in the morning, right? And so each of us should welcome the day with an attitude of gratitude. Like, man, it's been some stuff. I just shouldn't be able to call on the name of the Lord in peace, right? And if it was just left up to me, I wouldn't be able to. Because I've just done some stuff that just, the fact that I get to do that, right? The fact that I get to be called a child of God, not only should that excite me, how do I keep that to myself? And so it should show. Yes, what's your name? Sure is.
I was gratitude.
That's right.
What he has done and what he has shown me and my children, just very grateful. So that makes me want to do for him
That's right.
my part.
That's your part.
Not his part.
That's right. And the thing is, it's only your part, right? Like I can't do your part because I'm too busy doing my part, right? And so you've got to do your part. And so if you just think about the people that God has put in your lives at different times, right? Like I'm not going to talk about my mother because I'll just be up here crying. But the fact that he put that lady in my life, he don't got to give me nothing else. Like I'm ahead. Like I'm winning, right? And then on top of putting that woman in my life, then he put that woman in my life. Like I'm cheating. Like I cracked the code, right? And then after he put that woman in my life, then he gave me that woman. Come on. Like what am I walking around miserable about? He gave me the greatest example of love I could ever have in a person, in my mother. And then he backed that up with my wife and then gave me a daughter. How do I walk around moping around? Oh, I got them Tuesday blahs. Why do I have the Tuesday blahs? Have you seen my wife? She's gorgeous, right? She's blind and she can't smell, but that's not my problem, right? The thing is, like, what could I possibly be miserable about? So I've got God, I've got Christ, I had my mom, I've got my wife, I've got my daughter, and then my daughter just gave me another little lady. I'm cheating. What am I walking around kicking the can about? Like, these doggone politicians, boy, I can't, Trump and Biden, I don't know. I don't care. I've won. I saw the end of the movie. I win. And so do you. Why not tell somebody else so they can win too? Right? Yes. What's your name?
Carol Mitchell.
Yes, it is Carol Mitchell. How may I help you this morning?
All that attitude has but I'm very weak. Got all of that. And the Lord, it should show.
even if you didn't have the confidence to just walk up to people and start talking about Jesus, you should have to, because someone is going to walk and you be like, man, what are you so happy about? Like every time I see you, you got a grin on your face. I know it's not the Cowboys because they're terrible, right? So what is it that makes you so happy? I can't dial that up any better than that. Let me tell you what makes me so happy. God loved me so much, he gave me his son. Who loved me so much, he gave me his life and then gave me his blood, which then gave me his church, which then gave me salvation, which gives me eternal life. That's why I'm so happy every time you see me. How long that take? 10, 12 seconds? I'm not saying you got to get fired from your job doing that all day long. I'm just saying that you could do it twice a day. You could do it twice. That person behind you in line that is just miserable, just give it to them. Just give it to them. It may not help them. They may not take it, right? But we've got to be better about sharing what God has done for us. People question, why don't you do this and why don't you do that? And why come you don't because, man, I got a Savior who wants me to live my life a certain way. And so, yes, I fall short. But I keep getting up, trying to do that thing the way he wants me to do it, because he's worthy. And what he's done for me, right, I appreciate it enough to try. And I know that even when I fall short, I've got a bridge that keeps me connected to God. Not because of me, right? Jesus spans the time. So whether I'm a foot short or 100 miles short, Jesus is the difference. Doesn't matter. Ain't none of us getting there by ourselves. Each of us need Jesus, right? So maybe you only need 4 feet of Jesus. Maybe I need 4,000 miles of Jesus. Same difference. We're short. Jesus makes up the difference. The people that we come in contact with every day are short. Not in a judgmental way, but in a factual way. If they don't have Jesus, right, they don't have the bridge to connect them to God. We should want that for everybody. Somebody get for me Acts chapter 2, and let's read verses 40 to 47. Acts chapter 2, and let's start at 40 and go through 47. Go ahead.
Wonders and signs were taking place through the apostles. All those who had believed were together and had all things in common. Where am I going to?
47.
They began selling their property and possessions and were sharing them with all, as anyone might have need. Day by day, continuing with one mind in the temple and breaking bread from house to house, they were taking their meals together with gladness and sincerity of heart, praising God and having favor with all the people, and the Lord was adding to their number day by day those who were being saved.
They just appreciated what God had done for them. And so they continued daily, steadfast in the apostles' doctrine. Anybody remember how they received the word? How does the Bible say they received it? Tongues. Correct. Everyone heard it in their own language. That's right. That's right. So that's how they got it, right? That was the methodology of how they received the word. What does the Bible say? How does the Bible describe how they felt when they received it? Jason just read it. They what? Gladly. They gladly received the word. Right? As they were breaking bread and going from house to house, as they ate their food, how did they eat their food? With what? Gladness. Look, I'm not saying that you should just be walking around, well, maybe I am. I was about to say, I'm not saying you should be walking around just giggling all day long. I don't know why you're not. I mean, I do know why you're not, right? Because the rent's too high, right? And that mortgage, them people want their money, right? And the car payment and the food. I understand, but what if, in spite of the rent being high, in spite of the food, in spite of the gas, we were still glad. And we went about our day gladly. We encountered people all day with gladness, right? And so this is part of walking in obedience. If I asked you for some examples of obedience, who biblical examples of obedience, who might you mention? David, Job, who else? Abraham, big one. Who? Elijah. Who? Noah. Now, and all those are right. But if you stop and think about Noah for a second. Noah tells God, God tells Noah to prepare for something that no one's ever seen before. And then gives him, if you look at the list of directions that God gives Noah, that's not a two-step, that wasn't making popcorn in the microwave. Insert popcorn, hit start. It was unbelievable. Yes. Oh, tell me your name. I didn't get it last time. Bill. Yes, Bill. Mm-hmm. $300 years. Right. Right.
Guess what? What we're doing. She was like, nah, no.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So yeah, you know that vacation we had planned for this weekend? Yeah, cancel that. Yeah, I gotta build a boat. You gotta build a what? A boat. For what? Rain. What's that? Don't know. God told me to build this boat because there's some water coming. Oh, okay, baby. You know I love it that you love God. I love that about you. It's why I'm into you. But this is crazy, right? We're not going to stop. We're not going on vacation this weekend to build some boat for this thing called rain that no one's ever seen. What? Yeah, all the people going to go on the boat. And then everybody that's not on the boat is going to die. Because of what? This thing, rain. What is rain? Don't know. But it's coming, and it's going to be wet. It's going to be everywhere, and you got to be in the boat. And then we got to name them, right? Want to talk to Noah about that at some point, but Bo Weevil. I don't know where he got that one from, but but that's what obedience looks like. Obedience is non-questioning, right? Okay, God, okay, I get it's got to be out of wood, but it's a whole bunch of wood right here. Why I can't use that? Because that's not the wood I told you to use. I told you to use that wood. I know, but that wood's way on over there. Yeah, well, then go get it. And keep going to get it, because that's the wood I need. All right, how long is the, well, okay, why gotta be that long? Why can't, I mean, we got 2x4s right here. I don't want 2x4s. I want this. This obedience thing, right? It's not just doing, like James said, it's easy in the beginning, right? That's the easy part. Commitment happens, right? Commitment is doing the thing that you said you were going to do long after the mood you had when you said that is gone. See, that mood is gone, right? I stood in front of them people in that church and looked at my beautiful wife and said, all day, every day, for the rest of my life. And I was caught up. Like my mama there, my daddy there, all the people, her mama there, you know. Well, that mood, gone. But guess what? All day, every day, for the rest of your life. And so even though that goo-goo gaga feeling that was there on wedding day, you know, that comes and goes. All day, every day, for the rest of your life doesn't. Right? And so that's the piece. Right? How I don't feel like doing that today. I know. That's what obedience means. That's what commitment calls for, is doing it when you don't feel like doing it. I'm going to put this young fellow on the spot. The guy right here, sitting next to my daughter. His name is Gino Matthias Smith. And the news I get is that they're going to be married soon. That's what they tell me. But Gino played college football for a guy maybe that you all heard of, a guy named Nick Saban. And so in the 4 or 5 years that Gino was in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, they won 2 national championships. Now here's what I can tell you about that. Gino did some stuff that the guys that played at the University of Tennessee didn't do. He did more than they did. And I will guarantee you that there were some mornings when the alarm clock went off at 6 in the morning, and it was the first of 3 practices that day, that Gino thought, boy, there's a whole bunch of other stuff I'd rather be doing today. And he could have done that. He just wouldn't have 2 national championship rings on his hand. And so the thing is at the beginning of every season, everybody has the same opportunity. I mean, the weights are the same, right? It's a 45-pound Cadillac. You put as many of them on there as you want, right? The grass is out there. Go run on it. You need sleep, you need to eat, you need to, and there are a group of guys, and there were a group of guys in Tuscaloosa those couple years that just did that better than everybody else. And it wasn't because they felt like it. It's because it was important to them. Because at the end of every season, how many national champions are there? 1. Everybody else just wasted their season. And so for at least 2 of those 5 years, they figured out how to do the thing in a way that nobody else did. That's called commitment. And so that's what Christ asks of us. He didn't ask us to pay him back, right? He didn't ask us to go and die on the cross for anybody else. He just asks us to be appreciative, get off our duff, and do what he tells us to do, which is to live our lives looking like him, sounding like him. Yes, what's your name, young man? This is the so-called aforementioned Geno Matthias Smith. Yes, sir. That's right. That's right. That's right. So for those of you online who didn't hear what Geno said, he's like, there's a pride factor that comes in. There's a pride that makes you do what you do, right? And the other thing is that there's certain layers to it, right? So at the University of Alabama, I mean, the face of the program is Nick Saban. Maybe Nick Saban is the guy that makes Geno do what he does. Maybe it's Geno's defensive coordinator. Maybe it's his position coach. Maybe it's the other 80 guys. Maybe it's his mom. Maybe it's a combination of all those things. But at the end of the day, what Geno decided is that I'm going to go to work because, number one, I'm not going to let myself down. Number two, I'm not going to let my teammates down. Number three, I'm not going to let my position coach down. Number four, I'm not going to let my coordinator down. Number five, I'm not going to let Coach Saban down. Number six, I'm not going to let the president of this university, who granted me admission into this place, down. I'm not going to let my mother down. I'm not going to let all my high school teammates down. I'm not going to let any of them down. We've got a goal. We've got a mission. Let's get after it. I'm just suggesting that if we can do that for Coach Saban, I sure think we can do that for Jesus. That's all I'm suggesting. Jesus don't ask Geno to do wind sprints. Geno don't ask Geno to bench press. Geno don't ask Geno to do no 40s. Jesus don't ask Geno to do any of that stuff. Did I say Geno don't ask Jesus? Geno don't do that. All right. But what I'm saying is that if we put it in context, that the things that Jesus does ask us to do, it's just not that much in comparison. Like, he gave all. Like, there's nothing left for him to give. He just asked us to give what we got and to tell people what he did. Like, I don't even have to tell them what I did, right? Because I haven't done anything. I get to tell them what Jesus did, which inures to their benefit, which inures to mine. Everybody wins. Jesus is glorified. They are saved. I am saved. We're all going to meet in heaven. Like, this thing just gets gooder and gooder. And so all he asks us to do is obey. Right? Hands, comments, anybody? Yes, sir. What's your name? Scott. Hey, Scott. It is not. Good point. I'm gonna come a little closer so the mic can pick you up. Don't get offended.
They were they're very rough lives. The beatings and the shipwrecks and left for dead and on and on and on and on. So I'm thinking that it should be a struggle. And I think sometimes when he said no one is good.
No, not one.
Yes. So I know the thoughts in my own head, and then it starts to make me wonder if maybe I'm losing this fight, because I know what I think about. And when you let your guard down, it's common to do. Starts making me think if what if I'm really not saved? What if I'm not, what if the body's won?
What if you're not winning?
Yes.
Right, right.
I think
That's a great point.
skip through life being happy, and I know people that are, I know people that aren't. But I hear about that, and sometimes, I don't know if offended is the right word, but I start debating it with people, and then that argument builds, and your physical urges come out as far as getting aggressive and defensive, and then you got to fight.
Right.
And then what is this doing for anybody?
It's not winning,
I
right?
think it needs to go a lot deeper than just doing the right thing. If you think you're doing the right thing and everything is great, I think something's wrong. It shouldn't
That
be.
probably means you're not doing something right, right?
I don't think it should be easy.
So here's the point. I'm hoping I picked it up, Scott. What Scott is saying is that, sometimes we're under the impression that this Christian walk is simple, and it's not simple, but it's worth it, right? Is it easy? It's easy maybe in the sense that it's something that you can do, right? It's not something you can't do, right? So in that regard, it's easy because it's something I can do. I have the ability to tell someone about Jesus. I have the ability to walk in love. I have ability to live my life according to the fruit of the Spirit. I have the ability to do that. Here's the trick. It's easier not to do. That's the trick. Is that, ain't nobody looking. I just don't do it. It's easier not to do. Because doing it is going to draw the wrath of somebody. It is going to make someone challenge me. How can you tell me about that? I know your life. You can't be. There's no way you can be God-loved. All the evil that I know that you've done, right? And then it gets you angry. And in the middle of telling someone about Jesus, you start cursing at them. Right? It's like, oops. Okay, this probably didn't go so well. So it's easier to just not do that. Why do that? Why don't I just come in here on Sunday morning and sit and sing and take communion and give and go home? No problems, no arguments, no fights, no judgments, no nothing. And then I guess, you know what? I'll come back next Sunday, do the same thing. I'll just do that. It's easier not to do. Yes, Bill.
The first part is the fact that you're struggling with this means you're embodying Christ most than most fake Christians. The fact that you are telling yourself that I am sinning, the closer we get to Jesus, the more we realize how sinful we are, that we can't walk in any likeness of this man. So you start to realize even my thoughts are corrupt. Even my eyes are corrupt. My entire being is a corrupt being. So the fact that you're thinking that, don't be discouraged. That's the devil trying to get onto you. This is you getting closer to God. The second part that I would add on to that, when you're talking to people, literally as you were saying just now, then they were gladly received his word and were baptized. Our job as Christians is not to force our opinion onto other people's because they're going through the same struggles that we originally went to when we were not Christians. Our job is to be good, happy Christians. In fact, regardless of how evil we are and how evil this world is, the joy and the peace comes in that we're going to heaven, that he did this for us, regardless of how evil and disrupt that it is here. So next time you talk to somebody, especially myself being a bigger person, I'm very overpowered because I know I can. Okay? So when I talk to people, my wife can testify, I'm talking, dude, you want to talk some fights? Terry could even tell you.
Are you moving your hands like that too? Because I'm getting a little nervous right now. I'm about to back up a little bit, right?
The thing that I'm saying is our job, again, is not to force it or to convince someone of Jesus. Because we know he lives. We don't need to convince it. Your job is only to merely plant the seed and to say it in the nicest way that you can. And the second you realize you're getting upset, just to walk away and realize that person has nothing to you. And like you said, I think 2 weeks ago, don't cast your pearls before swine, man.
That's right. That's right. And the greater point is leave the door open. Like, what I can't do is say something so vile that I can never come back, right, and breach this subject again. And not only have I messed it up for me, I've messed it up for everyone. This person will never hear anything about Jesus. And so, right, when you feel like you're about to get to that point, pull the plug, right? Abort, 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 right? Because that is not worth it. And so you're right, is that sometimes the more we study and the closer we realize who Jesus is, we realize how far apart we are from that, right? Which then should make you appreciate the gift of Jesus even more. Because that's how I get connected to God, is through him. And I'm not like him. I'm trying, but I still have miles to go. But because I've been obedient and I've given myself to him, the connection is always there. And I'm way over there, but Jesus connects me. Yes, sir. And then I saw your hand. Yes, sir.
Just Proverbs, with great wisdom comes great sorrow.
That's it. That's it. This is it. Listen, the majority of the people we talk to about this are not going to be receptive. That should make us sad, right? I've got family members, they're just not going to do it. They're just not. I know where that's going to leave them. And man, that hurts. Like that hurts. Right? And what do? I just love on them. I just love on them. So that maybe something happens and they say, hey, can you pray for me? And the door's still open. Right? Yes. What's your name? Hey, Lowry. I'm great.
I think it's a testament that when people look at you and say, when you try to tell them or you show them that you've become a child of God, and they say you, I think that's actually the greatest testament in that, yeah, even somebody like me has been able to turn my life around, and God has accepted me and cleansed me and washed me. And that testament in and of itself almost says, and he can even do it for you.
That's right.
Our biblical example being Paul, who was holding the coat of those who were stoning and persecuting Christians. For him to be able to turn around and become one of the greatest apostles ever is a testament that when people are judging you because you've changed your life, you can say exactly, right?
That's right.
I was able to change. Now let me show you how you can do it too.
That's right. And the beauty of it is, Lowry, is that it's not me. Let me show you what God can do. Like, you knew me, right? You knew I ain't worth 2 cents. But look at me now, right? Like, look at God, right? And so that's the thing, is that this isn't, did you say you knew I wasn't worth 2 cents? Is that what you said? No, because you did. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't. I mean, I'm just saying. Right. Right. I've known him a long time. So I thought he was back there testifying. I was like, hey, shh, I'm not coming close to you at the mic. But the thing is that what you tell people is, and I think that's a great point, Laura, is that even me, like, he saved even me. There's nobody. Like, Paul was a serial killer. He didn't just save him. He turned him into an apostle. Come on, man. Come on. Like, man, listen, if God can do me, he can easily do you. And it's the opposite of being judgmental. right? Sometimes we need to learn how to be a little self-deprecating. Like, man, listen, man, Paul said, Paul called himself the chief of sinners, right? And so, listen, man, sometimes I think about stuff that I shouldn't think about, right? I focus on stuff I shouldn't focus on, right? I made a life of doing that. And then at some point, God said, hey, man, I think I could use you for something else. That's all it is. Our only job is to give people the opportunity for God to do something else with them. Right? Okay, that's our bell. I'm going to come to you, Scott, and you got the last word. Yes, sir.
Yeah, about that, I think, I don't want to speak for myself, but the problem I've been running into, I speak to people I'm around, but the issue is that when I get done talking to them, I'm walking away just like laughing at myself. You were the biggest hypocrite walking the earth. Because everything you just said to them and tried to express to them, how many times have I gone home and done the exact same thing?
That's right.
Over and over and over. And then I start thinking, man, just keep my mouth shut because I'm just a hypocrite. I do the same things. I'm still struggling. And to, point the finger, be the first to point a finger, but the last to lift one. And then it starts making me question myself. And I've already had experiences where I've had someone very close pass on that I could have maybe done something with, but because of my actions, you can't say anything.
Right.
You can't say a word to her.
And listen, Scott, I think that sometimes what we have to do is, Philip in the 8th chapter of Acts, he went to where the eunuch was, right? You have a very unique opportunity to do that with certain people. You're not guessing at what their struggles are. You know what their struggles are because you've got the same struggles. Meet them where they are. Not from a place of I'm better than you, I'm worse than you, right? I'm just like you. But here is what I know beyond any exclusion of doubt is that God can save us both. I believe that. And he's still working on me. I'm just asking you to get on the road, brother. Get on the road, sister, right? Listen, I need a workout partner. Let's do this together. And if people see our vulnerabilities, right, again, they don't care how much we know until they know how much we care. Like, brother, that thing you just did, I did 4 times this week. Can we just pray? Because I need help, and I don't know if you think you do, but let me pray for you. And I think that's where we've got to be, and that's what obedience calls for. So thank you very much for your comments. We'll be back again if the Lord says so now.